All right, friends, it's Tino back with another video, and it's on Sam Sulek, whatever it takes. And I don't know if this guy's copying his videos or what. It's called Culture Wave. I saw this on here. It's got a bunch of his videos on his channel. But I want to review this video. It's his training. So Sam Sulek Motivation Inspiring for 8 minutes. Okay, I'm just going to review the training methods that he's talking about.
Sure, you may be right in like a powerlifting context. You shouldn't go to failure for every set. But why would you not?
The question is, in powerlifting, why would you go to failure when your goal is trying to get androgen receptor strength for that force production? You're trying to increase force production, so you want to do low repetitions, and you don't want to be breaking down proteins so you can keep that strength and build more of these androgen receptors to increase that force production and proliferate motor units. That's your whole goal. See what I mean? But in these bodybuilders, they're trying to open a window for protein synthesis. Right. That is the chronic lifters are opening it. But there's other modalities when it comes to lifting. There's muscle damage, there's muscle fiber splitting, there's other types of damage, hypoxia, man, oxidative. It just goes on and on forever, okay? But anyways, let's move on with this.
It doesn't make sense in my mind. Why wouldn't you want to try to go as hard as you could on every set that you do, every chance you get? Like, it's not really freaking often where I think about leaving something in the tank and have that be a positive scenario. And if you ever do a set...
Why do you need to do that if you're a chronic lifter in bodybuilding? Since your main goal is looking for a window, let's say your main goal is looking for a 24-hour protein synthesis window, 24 hours. Meaning if it's 24 hours, that means you can't come back the next day if it's 24 hours. You understand me? But people keep coming back every day. They work out every day, or there's some that do it every other day. Those are the smarter ones, but whatever. But they're still not exceeding that breakdown because we know that protein synthesis needs to exceed that breakdown in order to build muscle. But that is also a window for protein synthesis and protein breakdown. So you're actually breaking down proteins. Your whole goal is to open a window for protein synthesis and break down the least amount of proteins that you can in that session. That's why people are never making headway. The important thing to come into the gym is to have a lot of protein in your system already to counteract any breakdown. So in reality, you could do one major set, you understand me, per each group of muscle, and that would be sufficient to open a window. You don't need to do more than that, but you want to get better at lifting a heavy weight because you're looking around and you think people are looking at you. You need to perform. You think that this is about performance. And in fact, it's about getting bigger, better, stronger, and faster through building up mass on the myofibrillar. That is most people's goal. And then there are people that do ultrastructural damages to the fibers, trying to get them bigger, better, stronger, and faster through ultrastructural damages by getting more density, adding to the density, the fibers, the mass, and so forth and so on. That is going to require a lot more work and a lot more eating. So yeah. Boy, like I said, it's 24 hours protein synthesis. So why would you says go to failure on each set, but you don't need so many sets. That's the problem. If you're just looking for a window for protein synthesis, now you need to focus on eating shitloads of protein. And again, protein synthesis needs to exceed that breakdown, and your muscles are constantly breaking down and building up throughout the day. They're breaking down. If they're breaking down more than they're building up, you can't build any muscle. So you need to keep that consistent. You have to be in a positive nitrogen balance to keep building. So really sufficiently one long, good, hard set for each muscle group would be sufficient, and you go home and you eat. Again, you keep eating this protein to build that muscle, and you'll build it faster and easier and better. But there's also a window there for sarcoplasmic hypertrophy because a lot of you are eating an artificial diet. You understand me? Too many of you are doing artificial, your training is artificial, and your eating is artificial diet, this fucking herbivore diet, bro. It would never happen on a carnivore diet. That's why you get the pump. You say, I got the pump. Would you get a pump on a carnivore diet? No. Your natural diet in nature? Hell no. So you're eating a very unnatural diet, herbivore diet. So you're getting glycogen in there. For every gram of glycogen, 3 grams of water, 3 grams of water are drawn between the skin and the muscle into the muscle. So you misconstrued this muscle or gain or something came so fast. Muscle doesn't gain that fast. And even to see that mass would take months. If you're starting out, it takes months to see that mass actually come up because cells are microscopic, and these microscopic cells, they have to build up. You have to build up the proteins in the cell to actually visually see that mass, like it says in Google. To visually see that mass, protein synthesis needs to exceed this breakdown. If it's not, you'll never see that mass. That's why you're wasting your time. You'll see sarcoplasmic mass though. That adds to the mass, but that doesn't add to any strength, any real strength or total strength. So yeah, let's carry on.
I like that where it's not like you're totally pushing it to the max. At least make sure you definitely push it, you know. You know if you push yourself hard.
I'm aware he's on steroids, okay? He's taking a hormone, but steroids do not build muscles. Protein does. Protein synthesis builds muscles, okay? Animal protein, high nutrient protein diet.
And you should be able to catch yourself if you're not, you know, pushing yourself up to that expectation. And ideally, you know, maybe I could do 2 sets that are kind of, you know, BS sets, right? The enlightened lifter will at least be able to catch himself and say, what the heck was that? And then go harder for the rest of the lift.
He's lifting more for the pump because he said this in his other videos. He's mostly gaining sarcoplasmic hypertrophy because his diet, you could tell his diet equates to that. Eating donuts and chocolate milk, tons of sugar and stuff, is glycogen loading. It's an energy source, and your muscles can load a lot of this energy in there, which is unnatural and can be very detrimental to your health. It could be very bad for your health, okay? So yeah, it's really, people are chasing the pump. Why are they chasing the pump? Because in their mind, they think they're building a muscle. They are building sarcoplasmic muscles. Hypertrophy has many, many modalities, definitely. There are many types of damages, structural damages, ultrastructural damages to muscle, adding the density, so forth and so on. And then there's hypoxia, oxidative damage to tissue. Yeah. Does that build muscle?
The last thing you want to do is do a BS lift in its totality. Have a crappy pump, probably be in a crappy...
See? Lift totality and have a crappy pump. He's chasing a pump. So his training is sarcoplasmic training, like I said in other videos.
I mean, come on. You made it all the way to the gym from your house, right? You kind of... It just feels weird not to go hard.
What is the point going to the gym if your goal is to build artificial muscles from like glycogen muscles and not build real muscle? That's why when you leave the gym, you keep losing it. This inflammatory response goes away, and the glycogen is seeping out because it's an energy source. You're also not keeping up with enough of that. But that's the muscle. When people say, I'm building a muscle in a gym, you are building a muscle in a gym. When you have a lot of glycogen flowing through your body, which most of you are eating, your Cocoa Puffs and everything, because it's so tasty. It's so easy to eat sweet stuff. You understand me? It's really easy to eat carbs. Protein is really hard to eat because it's nutrient dense and you feel very full very quickly. So it's like this. When you're at a buffet, it's really hard to eat that pork chop. It's really hard to put in because your body is tasting the nutrients in the tongue and says that's enough. But it's really easy to throw in a lot of other sweet stuff in there. You understand me? It's so easy to eat sweet stuff. Why is that? Because your body doesn't see that as food, because it isn't. It's worthless. You can literally just stick it in your mouth, goes nowhere. Because it's an empty calorie. And so you're eating empty calories, but your body can distinguish when it's full from eating protein. Believe me, I can eat 6 raw eggs and I'm just so full, man. But I have to keep eating more protein to keep myself in anabolic growth state to grow more muscle. I know that I have to keep pouring it on. See what I mean? But there are times that you could feel some hunger pains, and then your nitrogen balance is not steady anymore. It's dropped, it's dipped. It will take a long time for it to go back up again, be in that anabolic growth state, to keep building muscle. Like I said, success in bodybuilding or lifting muscles, getting stronger, ultrastructural injuries or fiber splitting or this oxidative shit, whatever the hell you're doing there, sarcoplasmic pumps, whatever, sarcoplasmic muscles. The window for success is very short in bodybuilding. It doesn't take 100 years to build a muscle. Or I'm going to give 5 pounds of muscle, you'll be lucky to get it in 10 years. That's all bullshit. You can build as much muscle as you want in a very short run in a year, providing you're in an anabolic growth state. Protein synthesis is exceeding this breakdown. Why? Because it'll suppress the catabolic hormone and the myostatin hormone, and you'll keep building muscle. But one other problem. Now that you are getting bigger and stronger, here's the thing. Let's just put it this way. We know that there's a nuclear domain, reach the ceiling limit. We need these nuclei to synthesize protein. But because you're getting bigger and stronger through protein, you'll be able to lift heavier weight because it'll feel lighter. You'll be stronger. You'll get new adaptations, and that will cause a structural damage now to the weaker muscle fibers. And it will donate more nuclei to that domain. See what I mean? So it would further it. But you don't want to work through that damage. You want it to repair and remodel. That way you have more nuclei and they'll synthesize protein, and then you can continue on with that domain. See what I mean? That is another way of doing it. Getting you can get an adaptation, a structural damage, even though you are adapted in a gym, providing you do something that you're unaccustomed to doing, you haven't done before in that training session, and you're not already previously damaged. See what I mean? So what will happen to get that? It's really simple. Let's say you've never lifted that weight before. Now let's say you got bigger, you got stronger, and the weights are feeling lighter. Well, you're already repaired and remodeled, you're fine, you're just going through the gym. If you do something you're unaccustomed to lifting, you haven't lifted before, and it's heavier, you're going to get some ultrastructural muscle injury, and you'll bypass myonuclear domain size limit. See what I mean? Yeah, bro. And and that progenitor will donate these nuclei, and you can synthesize more protein. So that is another way of doing it. That's how bodybuilders on steroids do it. They do get some of these nuclei through the satellite cell, a donation, providing that they've done something they're unaccustomed to lifting, and they would, because it will reach a certain level, like 500-pound bench press, that they would normally not do for reps. That's about it. And they do complain sometimes. They do get a delayed onset muscle soreness, and they're like, oh, I got this, they get this damage and they get some nuclei, but it just stops at that point. Like I said, you get a newbie gain, and then you may get it 1 or 2 more 3 times. If you are able to lift heavier, it got bigger, stronger, so forth, because of real muscle and not the pump, sarcoplasmic muscle, which is artificial. See what I mean? To understand training, what you're looking for, you have to understand all the modalities, what it is that you're what you're seeking, what you're looking for.
Pretty much like the starter gym, but in all actuality, this is where it really started down here. We used to have a little, not a squat rack. It was just weight stands with this flat bench. So pretty much every couple days, I would just come down, and I wouldn't even really be doing sets. Honestly, I was just constantly trying to test my 1 rep max. I was still a noob. I remember.
Why are you trying to test your 1 rep max? What is the purpose of that?
Pretty distinctly, though. Early on when we got the rack, I tried squatting I think it was 200. And if it weren't for the little safety bars that were on the bottom, like the safeties that were sticking out of the stands, dude, I would have just totally fucking crushed myself. But a lot of fucking sick lifts happen in here. I mean, this is when you gotta do it, when nobody's watching. I guess I can't really say that anymore. You're always fucking watching.
Why do you care if somebody's watching you? Just do what's fucking best for you. Who gives a shit about them?
So I'm a little bit blessed in that sense. I'm never really alone when I'm lifting. But in all honesty, I mean, that's where you really gotta push it. I've said this before. If you can't have a good lift without your buddies or a bunch of other guys hyping you up, then I don't know, to an extent I want to say how bad do you want it, but it could just be kind of how you started. I'll talk to some guys who were into football and high school and stuff like that, and that was the environment that they started lifting in, and they had a crew with them, so they're used to everybody hyping them up. So for somebody like that, coming from a sports background, and then they're transitioning more so into just their own lifting, it can be kind of hard to just fucking lift by yourself. I guess luckily I started off solo, so I'm not spoiled. But, if it's just you, don't worry, these lifts add up. You will fucking get something out of it. And not...
Well, everybody does in the beginning. You always get something from whatever you start in the beginning, but eventually it stops working. That's the problem. It stops working. People come in, they say, I got newbie gains. Okay, how come you're not getting any more newbie gains? Why aren't you getting any more newbie gains?
Just like something to show off to other people either. I was thinking this to myself, just if you kind of try to self-analyze your own motivators, what do you think is pushing you harder? To impress other people or to impress yourself?
Honestly, when I when I built my body, when I had a chance to build my body, it was because I had money and I had the opportunity. And I actually at that point I already knew what would build muscle. And I understood this thing that when I was unaccustomed to doing something, I got this damage, it would last for days. And then I figured, okay, that was the time to eat a lot to build that muscle. During that week period, that whole week, I would just eat like crazy to build muscle. I would eat as much as I could. Like literally, I saw a fat model and I said, well, fuck it, she could eat for 8 hours and she's fat. Why can't I go to a buffet me being an ectomorph, I don't get fat from eating, I'll probably most likely build muscle because I'm working out. See what I mean? That's the whole difference. That's what I mean. Hello? Sorry.
To impress yourself. I'm not a fucking psychologist, so I can't really get into it too much deeper than that, but just something to think about, Just something to freaking think about. I'm not a psychologist, so do whatever you want. But for me, that's kind of silly. Like, if I see you can't maintain that state forever, so clearly it's not a great state to be in, right? Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm trying to say, right? Strive to acquire, if you kind of understand what I'm saying, right? Rather than sort of think about a specific end goal you want, right? If you can sort of rewire your brain somehow, I don't know how to do it.
My end goal was to get what I wanted, and I got it in a very quick, very fast, efficiently, and quick. Because when you have money, you can just about build anything. Look, in this world, to build something that you want, you need money. Without money, you're never going to build it. That's why people are failing at getting what they want because they don't have money. And then there are how should I put it? Cutting corners. You could take a steroid and get in, fake bunch of fake muscles, or take some whatever, eat a bunch of carbs and fake it too. Go to the gym as well. See what I mean? So there's a lot of people that cut corners. They do it fakely because it's easier to do it fakely than to do it real. Again, it's really extremely difficult to eat protein because it's nutriently dense and you'll feel very full very quickly. So it's very hard. That's why the bar is set so high. That is the problem. But it's easy to eat shitloads of garbage food because they're empty calories and they're an energy source, sugar, and they're loading your muscle these carbohydrates. You'll build artificial muscles. That's what will happen. They go into your muscle. Yeah. And then the rest is just garbage. It is not nutrient dense. So your body still sees it as being starving. It's starving because you're eating an unnatural, artificial diet called a herbivore diet. You don't eat the grass. The cow eats the grass. You eat the meat. And so that is the reason why it is so much harder to do that. And so it's really about a stretching of the stomach. So stretching of the stomach, eating more proteins, different kinds, sticking it down there, stretching the stomach. The stomach can accommodate more. You'll get hungry and then you'll be able to eat more and then you'll be able to build more muscle, more mass, and it'll be continuous because you'll never be hungry. You'll never be in a catabolic state. You'll be in an anabolic state building muscle. The catabolic hormone will be completely shut off. So you have the means and the time and everything to build muscle now. See what I mean? So yeah, it's a little bit hard for people to understand that building muscle is really easy. It's a short window. It's not forever. can't be 10 years to build the muscle or 20 years. It's ridiculous.
Exactly. Right. But if you can manage to be content just by making progress, right? At the end of the day, who gives a fuck about numbers?
Are they content by making progress? They're not making progress.
Right. All we're trying to do is make some long-term progress. So don't get too freaked out.
He just wants to make progress for whatever it is he's doing. And that's his thing.
About, be it weight, strength, size, whatever. It's more so just, making progress over time. Right?
Yeah, I believe in making progress over time. Whatever that time is. But don't take forever to make progress. It's a short window. See, it's a short window. Success is a short window. Look at him. Does he have any before after videos? No. He did this in a very short time. How did he do that? Because he took a shortcut. He took a shortcut. He took steroids. And they're retaining this herbivore diet in his muscles. This glycogen bullshit. These fake muscles. Does he really care? Do you care? Nobody cares. They're simply watching him and they're just enjoying watching, living through him.
The guy who likes walking is going to walk further than the guy who likes the destination. You understand?
That's right. I believe that.
And that's, it's easy to say. It's easy to say this motivational shit or whatever. It's harder to put it into practice. But, if you go to the gym on a consistent basis for long enough, it's just going to become normal life. It's not even going to be a challenge for you to go in. And you should start to see some results coming in. When I bring up the topic of cardio, I hope it makes your stomach drop, like you get called into the office, because you're in
Me personally, weightlifting, anything you're doing physical is cardio.
trouble. Do your office job for whatever. You're not just meant to think the same thing about you.
That was quite interesting, man. Know what you think about that? Like, subscribe, support the channel. See you in the next one, bro. I gotta go, broski. I'm busy.